Hi, I'm Marty Nemko. Everyone gets nervous in some social situations, maybe a first date, an important meeting, giving a presentation. But when the fear extends to avoiding or being too quiet when they're with other people, and it's lasted for months or longer, it's often termed social anxiety disorder. Well, quote, social anxiety is like a headache. The cure depends on the cause. Maybe it's not a disorder, but maybe a reasonable way to be. It's possible that what some people label as social anxiety is a sensible approach to interaction. For example, a reasonable basis for accepting yourself as quiet rather than pathologized as socially phobic is to realize that wise people may choose to remain silent when the risk-reward ratio is perceived as poor. For example, that an idea isn't well enough crystallized, or would sidetrack the discussion, or would be better expressed later, maybe in writing, or at a subsequent meeting. Another reasonable rationale for remaining quite quiet is if you believe it's wiser or kinder to listen and learn than to speak and regurgitate. By listening attentively, you've given the other person the opportunity to express and further develop their thoughts. Talking can clarify. When I've worried that I haven't provided a client with enough input, I've sometimes gotten a reassuring thank you for having listened carefully. But if you perceive your avoidance of and fear in social situations to be unhealthy, it usually derives from the fear that you're going to fail to meet realistic expectations or unrealistic expectations. Well, here are approaches to each. First, a couple of suggestions when you're unlikely to meet realistic expectations. Perhaps be better prepared. For example, if you're scared about an upcoming meeting, consider spending extra effort preparing for it, whether by reading or writing or talking with someone. If you're nervous about a first date, prepare a couple of conversation starters, such as, "So, you want to tell me about your family?" or "What do you enjoy doing for fun?" And be prepared yourself to answer those questions. Another possible strategy when you feel you're unlikely to meet realistic expectations is to accept your right to be flawed. Realize that you have a right to speak your truth even if it's imperfect or not well received. Now let's turn to your social anxiety when your expectations, or perhaps the expectations of others, are unreasonable. More often than when your expectations are reasonable and you're still socially anxious, it's when they're unreasonable, and such in one or more of these may help. One is self-reflection by thinking or journaling. For example, you might explain to yourself why the anxiety is undue. For example, you might write something like, "Whatever flaws are in what I say aren't likely to be deal killers. And if someone rejects me for making even a few such statements, maybe they're not somebody I should care about." Of course, there are people you have to care about, like perhaps your boss, unless you want to quit, or your romantic partner, whom you also don't want to quit. If you would like to take a look at the roots of your social anxiety, you might list significant recent or past interactions with your parents, siblings, friends, romantic partners, boss, coworkers, and clerics. For each, ask yourself if any of those interactions or any significant experiences with them are causing your current undue social anxiety. Maybe there are lessons to be learned from that review. Another technique for dealing with unrealistic expectations is progressive exposure. Here are a few social activities that are less challenging than, for example, going to a party. You might put them in ascending order from least to most scary to you at least, and then try the first one or two, and then progress to others of these 6 I'm about to give you, 5, when you feel you're ready. At home, eat with someone you trust. Make eye contact and small talk, even if just how was your day? You're a little braver, try it eating out. Say hello to someone who's not too scary, for example, a friendly coworker, or even the person next to you in line at the supermarket. Give someone a compliment, such as, "Your scarf's pretty." Or ask a store clerk where some product is located, or email, text, or phone a friend asking to get together. Have something to say at the ready. For example, what did you do today? Or what are you looking forward to or thinking about? And finally, a couple of general stress reducers. Just before you're about to begin a social interaction, remind yourself that you can survive even saying something stupid, maybe cutting your loss with something like, excuse me, I misspoke. Then, and again, if you're starting, there's another technique, by the way, stress reducer. If you're starting to feel stressed, take one special breath. Breathe in slowly, maybe hold it for a second or two, and then breathe out even more slowly. And finally, if the above haven't sufficiently helped, consider having some sessions with a cognitive behavioral therapist. They tend to be effective in helping phobic people of all sorts, not just social anxiety, but phobias of all sorts. Anyway, the takeaway, social anxiety usually comes down to fear of not meeting expectations, your expectations or that of people you'll be interacting with. That's why even socially anxiety people, socially anxious people, tend to be less fearful when they're interacting with kids, with developmentally disabled people, or pets. But the good news is that social phobia, indeed all phobias, are among the most ameliorable of emotional problems. To that end, might one or more of the aforementioned ideas help bring your fear under control so you can live the professional and personal life that you want to live. In any event, I do thank you for watching. I'm Marty Nemko. I welcome your thumbs up and accept your thumbs down. I always look forward to your comments and especially like it if you hit the share button below. Share on your social media so that my efforts can have broader impact. And I am flattered if you choose to subscribe to my channel. In any event, I do thank you for watching. I am Marty Nemko.